Hey guys, how are you? Welcome back to the channel. What we are going to get into today is, I guess, an overall assessment of what parts that I need to scavenge up for Justin's 394 here. If you missed the last video, I think it was called Initial Assessment or something, just basically getting it in a piece of wood, filling it out, doing a compression test. See what's up with it. We come up with a game plan of, what more than likely needs to be done with the old saw. She just needs a little TLC, a little freshening up. Although other than being down on power and a little down on compression, the saw did run good. It starts easy, sitting idle all day long. Kind of makes me wonder if maybe someone hasn't done a little work to it in the past. He's kind of anxious of maybe what the piston may look like in the cylinder, because it is kind of odd that the saw would still run that good, meaning the bottom end of it's good and tight, and the saw have that low of compression. Some people may think that 130 that my gauge read was adequate enough. Well, you would be correct. That's good enough to run and would still last a while. But I'd had some people in the short videos that I'd put up think that this chain, that it was just set up too aggressive. The grind that I do on a work chain is basically the same grind as a stock Oregon EXL chain minus the 10-degree tilt. Usually I don't do that on my grinder. Usually you would have to do a timed cut to tell a difference. It's not really much of a difference at all, but there's that chain again. I don't know if the camera's showing it to you or not, but nothing real aggressive. 25-degree top plate angle, 55 on the head tilt, and 0 on the downward tilt. I use that Oregon tool that lays over top of the chain. Now, a lot of people don't like that because it doesn't get aggressive enough, which I think a lot of that is that people don't know how to sharpen properly or use the grinder properly. A stock drag or raker or depth gauge height will get you a good pulling chain. A lot of your pull is here. What you do there, how deep you file or grind, or the hook that you put into it, the working corner. There's a lot more goes into how hungry a chain is than right here, if that makes any sense to you at all. I hope it doesn't sound like I'm being rude or kind of sounding like a know-it-all. I'm just trying to help. What I'm getting at is, chain really wasn't that hungry at all. Watch the videos of, it was hungry, but not what you think. Not like the drags were taken down to like 30 thousandths or something, but that's something I don't really get into. I don't know that I've ever measured a drag on a chain. Not that I'm aware of. I've never pulled out a set of calipers or an indicator or anything to measure a chain. We did do quite a bit of work to his bar, but it is tight, got the rails straight. That bar's still got some life left in it. If you missed that video, at the end of this video on an end screen, I'll pop it up in the top left corner, should be. But anyway, the first thing I'm wanting to address is why she wasn't oiling. Her clutch is spinning the oiler in there. The clutch is also riding in and out a lot, meaning it could be coming out of the oiler. Guys, as you can see, that thing's like bone dry. I sat out there and ran that thing probably longer than I should have. About half throttle, 3/4 throttle, just trying to get the RPMs up, and nothing unless she is full of bar oil. I checked the strainer in the tank, or I guess you'd call a filter on that. it looks fine. So either we have a problem with the hose or we have the oilers just shot. So I'm assuming I'm going to pull the clutch off next, and we'll have a look there, and then I'll probably go to the starter cover side. Saw's warm right now. Bearings are tight. They feel amazing. They're on the PTO side anyway. We'll pop the flywheel side off and have a look at it. See how that feels, but yeah, we'll go from there, guys. Alright. Hopefully this just zips off. That's a pretty stout little gun to be 12 volt 3/8. Whew. Okay, so you remember in the log when it would just stall out so easy? Gosh dang. She's a little down on power, but man, that was probably having something to do with it too. Holy crap. Definitely need a clutch. Wow, there's just as big of a groove in the clutch drum. And the 2100, I don't have a clutch laying here to be handy, but it looked just as bad. But luckily the cases that JK, or Josh over at JK, sent to us, wow guys, check that out. Holy crap. How that thing was even cutting at all is about a miracle. I guess a rough surface will grab and cut, grab and spin, but wow. Bearing don't look too bad, but we'll get a new clutch, it'll come to the bearing. Well, in the other video I was going on about, and there would be a really good reason why it was not oiling. I'm willing to bet the worm gear on the oiler's stuck too. There's not really any way for me to tell with the oiler in it, so I'll get that out and we'll go from there and see what's up with it. And I did have one of these clips over here, but I know why the old one was off. It just ain't staying in very well, but I'll address that, and that's the least of our worries, guys. Like we had said in the other video, I'd say this old saw was used and abused, and it's Justin had told me probably had millions of board feet on it. I'm sure this thing's paid a lot of bills for somebody to get it back together. However, they needed to get it back together to get it back in the woods and put timber on the ground. And I see that a lot here. I'm going to start showing more of it, I guess. Alrighty guys, let's pull it off together. And the 394, which it's a Tillett's an HS carb on these, but uses the old style choke lever, which is good. The 395 is what they went to on that. Was just a big old hot mess. Dang. Well guys, it has not had a seal put in this side, and I don't know, someone had been trying to get the flywheel nut off. It was, if I could find it here, either they done that, like beating the crap out of it with the hammer, which maybe had some some grips on it or something, but guys, use the proper tool. Good 6-point impact socket, or just a standard chrome 6-point socket. In this case, a 12-point would have worked just fine. Who knows how long it'd been that way, but it doesn't look like it's had a seal ever put in this side. And I'm gonna kill the AC unit for just a second. I really don't want to, but the bearings feel good in it. Man, they sound like crap. And I just ran that saw before I brought it in there and tore it down. And I thought with the flywheel on I could feel at least a little bit of movement over here, but it may have been where it might have still been a little warm, but I mean, I could put it back together and it'd run this way. I don't know for how long, but that kind of sounds like crap. I'm thinking maybe popping this seal out over here and having a look at the bearing, but I'd say she probably do a bottom end rebuild, especially if we're going to throw a little bit of compression at it. We ain't going to go too crazy with the build or anything, but just want a good strong work saw. But it's running so good though, just underpowered. Sounds like crap. And I've sprayed penetrating lube and oil in there to see if it might quieten down a little bit, but yeah, guys, that kind of sounds like garbage. But that's where we're at on it, guys. I ain't gonna go no further than that in this video. I'm gonna work up a price. I guess I could show the piston and cylinder. The piston, it's a double ring piston. It is gonna need a wrist pin bearing. It kind of feels the way those sound. I'll try to show it in a little bit, but as shiny as that piston was, man, I expected the fitment to be horrible and it be loose, but I mean, it ain't god awful. That's about normal. It's about what you would want. You don't want it so tight that it doesn't go up and down, but there ain't no signs of anything about the fill or anything on it, but we'll see what he wants to do. For right now, we're looking probably SKF bearings and seals on the bottom end, and a set of cable rings, and everything from here out as far as the oiler and the clutch and the worm gear. Justin, I'll get a price worked up, probably have it worked up and sent to you before you see this, but most everything else looked alright, I think. Fuel line even, it's probably been replaced, I'm sure, but it looked good, had good tank pressure. We know it ran good, but someone has put a crank seal in it for sure. I actually drove it in just a little further than I would usually on these. I like just to get it flush with that lip, but that one's probably 15-20 thousandths below it, which is fine as long as it ain't running against the bearing. But looks like a factory seal in the flywheel side. Didn't look like it'd ever been out, but bearings feel tight, just kind of sound like crap. I know you guys can hear that, but anyway, I'll try to put some sort of video together. You guys have a good one.